Hey, welcome back to my channel, Unbiased LLC. So today I have another sewing challenge for you for the month of March 2025. This sewing challenge is going to take you about 30 to 35, maybe 45 minutes to complete. And today we will be making a reusable makeup bag or brush bag, or you can use it for pens or pencils. You can use this for anything that you can fit into a slot and travel with it. Okay, so I made one long time ago. I'm gonna show it to you so you can kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like. And you can make it in whatever dimensions that you would like, but I will give you the dimensions that I will be using today. And if you choose to use the same dimensions as me, you can. If you need your dimensions to be bigger or smaller, then adjust them accordingly to what you need them for. Okay, so it's not set in stone to do it the same way that I am going to do it today or demonstrate to you today, but do it how you see fit. Okay, so this is the bag, and it's a makeup brush bag. And you can put, when I made this one, I made it for my makeup brushes, and you can put your makeup brushes in it. I think I even have like a ink pen in this one. And so I'll just tell you, when I first made this, I used somebody else's dimensions, right? And they didn't fit for me because my makeup brushes were shorter than the tallness of the pouch. So that's why I'm saying, measure whatever it is that you're going to put inside of your pouch, and make sure that you cut this off or get your fabric the length that you will need it. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to show you exactly how to make this from start to finish. And this part just flaps over, and then you just roll it up and tie it. I'm not going to put a tie in it, but you tie it. Sorry. And you can take this with you wherever you go. So let's get started. Are you up for the challenge? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. Are you going to do this? You need to post. You need to show me your work. You need to join the Facebook group and Seams to Sew and Craft. I will put the link in the description box. You don't have to worry about that. Just click the link, join the Facebook group, and show us your work. Show us what you're doing. This Sew Simply challenge is just to get people to start sewing. It doesn't matter what we're sewing. Just sew. Okay? Okay, so now these are the dimensions that I chose to use for my project. And the bag that I will be making today will be for my daughter. I am going to use my bag to make for her crochet needles that she can take and travel with them wherever she go. So of course my slots will be small. You will make your slots the size that you need them. Okay, so you're gonna need a rotary cutter or some scissors. It just, whichever one you prefer. And you're going to need 2 pieces of ribbon. Okay, 2 pieces of ribbon. They will be cut at 18 inches. You need 2 pieces. So here are my 2 pieces of ribbon. Okay. My next piece will be my pocket piece. My pocket piece is cut at 18 inches by 5.5 inches. And you only need 1 pocket piece. This is the wrong side of my pocket piece. The inside of my fabric looks like this. Okay? 1 pocket piece. You're going to also need the flap. This is the flap. The flap measures 18 inches by 8 inches. cut 1 piece. This is the fold over flap, okay? The next piece we have is the main fabric. The main fabric is going to be cut at 18 inches by 10 inches, cut 1 piece. The lining fabric will also be cut at 18 inches by 10 inches, cut 1 piece. So this is my lining fabric. And then you're also going to need some fusible interfacing, cut 1 piece at 18 inches by 10 inches. I am going to now show you the one that I am going to be using, the interfacing that I'm going to be using. You can choose to use this one if you would like, or if you already have some type of fusible interfacing in your stash, use what you have. You do not have to go out and buy anything extra, okay? So this is the interfacing, the fusible interfacing that I will be using, which is the 809 Decor Bond. Pelon 809 Decor Bond. So I'm going to go over the pieces one more time just in case, okay? Fusible interfacing, 18 by 10, cut 1. My lining fabric, 18 inches by 10 inches, cut 1 piece. My main fabric, 18 inches by 10 inches, cut 1 piece. My fold over flap, 18 inches by 8 inches, cut 1 piece. My pocket piece will be 18 inches by 5.5 inches, cut 1 piece. And then I have 2 ribbons cut at 18 inches. So let's get started. So now that we have all our pieces together, what the first thing that you want to do is you want to get your main fabric, and you want to take your interfacing. So I'm going to just take my little labels off. Your main fabric and your interfacing, fusible interfacing, whichever one you choose, okay? This interfacing has a shiny side. Let me see if I can get you to see. You see, this is like a shiny side, and this is the dull side. You're going to place the shiny side with the glue adhesive on top of your main fabric, on the back of your main fabric. So lay your fabric down flat, and then take your interfacing, lay this on top of your fabric, and then you're just going to take this to the ironing board and fuse it down. Iron over it. And what I normally do, this is just me, I turn my fabric right side up, and then I iron it, because I don't want the adhesive to get onto my iron, okay? So you can turn it right side up, iron this down, and then once it fuses, let it cool for a second, and then iron the back ever so slightly, okay? You do need a pressing cloth for this. So I'm just going to use this butcher paper on top of mine, okay? So you can use whatever it is that you have available. You can use an old piece of fabric. You can use a pressing cloth. You can use a Teflon sheet. Whatever it is you need to do to protect your iron, do that, okay? So I'm going to iron mine, and then I will meet you at the sewing machine. Okay, so let's prepare the pocket piece. This is my pocket piece. This is the piece that is 18 inches by 5.5 inches, okay? What we're gonna do with this is the wrong side of my fabric. This is the right side of my fabric. On the wrong side of my fabric, I am going to take this and fold it up the bottom edge 1/2 inch and iron it down. This is what you do to the pocket piece. So fold it up about 1/2 inch and iron it down. You can measure this 1/2 inch if you would like. I'm just eyeballing it because we want to keep this simple. We don't want this to be some long drawn out process, okay? So if you want to measure it, you can, but you can eyeball 1/2 inch, fold it, and iron it down, okay? That's for the pocket piece. You're only going to do one of the bottom edges, the 18-inch part, okay? So you should have something that looks like this when you're done. Okay, now get your flap piece. This is my flap piece. This is my 18-inch by 8-inch flap piece, okay? So I'm just gonna turn this over on the wrong side, and then I'm going to take the short edge and fold it over 1/2 inch and sew it down. And iron it down. 1/2 inch and iron this down. I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same exact thing. 1/2 inch and iron it down. And then we're going to take the bottom edge. Okay, so this is the thing. If you have directional fabric, which I do, this is my bottom. This is my top because I want my buses to be right side up or going in this direction, okay? So this is my bottom piece. So when I flip my fabric over, this is now my bottom. It's still my bottom. I'm just going to fold it up 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to fold it again 1/2 inch because I want the raw edges to be encased in this bottom edge. So fold it 1/2 inch and then fold it up again another 1/2 inch. So that's going to be taking away 1 inch from your project. I'm going to fold it 1/2 inch, iron it, and then I'll fold it another half. So that may make it easier. So now just fold it in again. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch this down at the bottom edge. You're going to stitch the bottom edge down. Okay. And I'll show you, when we get to this part of stitching it down or stitching this piece, I'll show you exactly what to do. So, meet me at the sewing machine. We going. All right, so we are here at the sewing machine, and the first thing that you're going to sew is your pocket piece. So get your pocket piece. We have already ironed it and put the fold in the fabric, okay? So what you want to do is take it to the sewing machine using a straight stitch, stitch this all the way down, and then pivot your fabric and come back up on the other side. So you're going to do 2 stitches, 2 rows of stitching on this one pocket piece at the bottom, okay? I'm going to be using my Singer heavy duty sewing machine today. I have a straight stitch selected right here. My stitch length is going to be 2.5, and my tension is going to be set at a 3. My needle is in the middle position, and you don't need to worry about the width, but if you do, it's set at a 3. Mine is set at a 3, okay? So I'm just going to sew a straight line down and then come back up, and I am going to speed this part of the video up, but you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to be using white thread. You choose the thread color that you choose to use. This is just what's set in my machine all the time, and so I just stitch with it, okay? I will do a back stitch at the beginning and at the end on both sets of stitching. I'm going to cut my thread and then stitch down the other line. So this is what you should have. 2 rows of stitching. 2 rows of stitching. Okay? So now I want you to get your flap over piece. This is the one that we ironed, folding the bottom edge twice and then folding the sides one time, I'm sorry. You're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to stitch a row, cut it off, stitch another row. So each row will have 2 lines of stitching. Okay, so this is the flap piece, and you may or may not be able to see, I double stitched all 3 sides, okay? So you only leaving one side unsewn, which is your top, which is considered your top, okay? So now what I want you to do is, I want you to get your lining piece. This is my lining piece. This is the 18-inch by 10-inch lining piece, okay? So with the lining piece, and then you're going to take your pocket piece, and this is my pocket piece. The top portion that you sewed with the 2 lines of stitching goes at the facing up. It faces up, and you're going to line it at the bottom of your lining piece. So this is my pretty side of my lining piece. This is the pretty side of my pocket piece. I'm going to pin it and then bring it to the camera for you guys to see. Okay, so we have the pretty side of our lining piece, the pretty side of our pocket piece, and all you want to do is match it at the bottom. So it should look something like this. Pin it together, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to sew a row of stitching to tack this down onto the lining piece. You just need 1 row of stitching, okay? And while we have this down, we're going to go ahead on and draw our lines for our pockets, for each individual pocket. And like I said, I'm doing this for my daughter for her crocheting hooks. So my pockets will be thinner, okay? And I'm just going to mark them with the chalk so that you can see the lines. And then you determine if you need yours to be the same width as my pocket pieces. If not, you can measure them like 2.5 inches apart, depending on what you're going to put inside of the pockets. You could do 2.5 inches, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 3 inch, whatever it is that you need to fill your pockets, okay? So I know that I'm going to stitch on the side. I'm going to come back to this part because it's in my way. Let me move this. Hold on. And if I did not tell you, you will need a ruler. So I'm just going to draw a line. And just keep drawing your lines until you get your pocket piece filled. So let me show you what I have so far. This is what yours should start to look like. Draw these lines all the way across the pocket piece, and I'll be back, okay? As many lines as you need, the width that you need them to be, okay? Okay, so I have all my lines drawn. So this is what mine looks like. I did about a 1 inch line, and then I did a 2 inch line where you see the yellow pins, because I said maybe she needs to put something in there that, you know, is kind of bigger than the hooks. So that's what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to go to the sewing machine, sew a straight line all the way down on the edge, all the way across the bottom, and then back to the other side of this, I'm sorry, to the other side of this pocket, okay? And I'm going to do this the length or the edge of my presser foot. So I'm using the edge of my I'm using the edge of my presser foot to line up the edge of my fabric, okay? Turn your fabric and sew all the way down. Okay, so I just tacked this down. So I just sewed the edge all the way down at the bottom, and then all the way on this side for the other side. So now I'm going to start sewing my lines, okay? And if I were you, I would start from the bottom and then sew up, okay? That's how I do mine, but you can do yours from the top to the bottom. But I'm going to sew mine from the bottom up. And back stitch. And just keep sewing all of your lines. And once I finish all of my lines, I will be back, okay? I will be back. All right, so I have all my lines sewn, okay? I'm going to show you what it looks like from the back. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't see my stitching. Just some straight lines, okay? And so this is what they look like from the front. You probably can't tell because of the chalk, but neither here nor there, all right? So what we're going to do next is put this piece that we just fixed, we're gonna put that to the side for right now. Get out your main fabric, and also your 2 pieces of ribbon, okay? You can choose to have yours your ribbon on the right or the left. I'm just gonna put mine on the left because my daughter is left-handed. And maybe it will help her when she gets ready to open this. So what you want to do is you want to take the 2 pieces of your ribbon, 2 pieces, put them together, right side facing up, and you're going to take your main fabric, fold it in half, just so you can get a center line, okay? A center line. Fold that in half and get a center line. And then you want to take your 2 pieces of ribbon, put them together, and then put them on your center line, okay? Put them on your center line. And you're going to just hang your ribbon off of your off of your main fabric about a half of an inch off of the mat. Off the main fabric. Put your 2 pieces of ribbon in the middle, and then you want to hang them away from the main fabric about a half of an inch. And pin this down. You're gonna pin this away from the edge, okay? Pin it away from the edge. And then you're going to take it to the sewing machine and zigzag this into the edge of the fabric. So make sure you change your stitch to a zigzag stitch. And I'm just going to leave it on 2.5. My length, my width is 3, and my tension is at 3.5, okay? And I'm just going to zigzag this backwards and forward a couple of times. So your ribbon is hanging off of the main fabric, but you're going to line your fabric up with the edge of your presser foot, okay? And then you're just going to zigzag this back and forth a couple of times. Okay. This is just going to secure your ribbon in place. And I'll show you what that looks like. Uh-oh. You see the zigzag stitch? Okay. And it's secured on the back as well. So make sure it's secure on the front and the back. And so now what I want to do is I want to take my ribbon, unpin it, but then fold it in half and then pin it to the fabric. Just pin it to the fabric. So right now what we're doing is just getting the ribbon out of our way. Okay, so it's sewn on this side, and then we just folded it in half and pinned it to the main fabric, okay? So now what I want to do is lay my main fabric down right side up. Right side up. My pretty side of my fabric is facing up, and the direction that I want my fabric to be in is facing up, okay? And then I'm going to take my lining piece with my pocket piece that's already sewn, and I'm going to flip it and face it down on top of my pretty fabric, right side to right side. So my pretty fabric, my pocket is the pretty side of facing down, and I just want to fold those two on top of one another and line everything up and pin around it, okay? Pin, or you can clip them with the clips. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna just use a couple of clips. Once I get this all clipped up, I'll come right back and show you what's next. Okay, so I have this all clipped up, okay, on all my sides. So listen, you're only going to sew on the short side, down at the bottom, and then come back up the short side. The top of your fabric should stay open. Do not sew this part. You're only sewing the three sides, down the short side, all the way down on the bottom, and then on the other short side. And this is what your fabric should look like. If you used interfacing, you should be seeing the interfacing part of the fabric right now. The inside is your pretty side of your main fabric and the pretty side of your lining and pocket piece, okay? This is how it should look. This is the back. This is the back again with the interfacing, and everything should be lined up on the bottom. And you're just gonna sew and line your fabric up with the edge of your presser foot and sew straight lines all the way around. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I've sewn down this edge, the short edge, all the way down to the bottom, and then all the way across, and then back on this side again where my ribbon is. I've sewn that down all the way up to the top, okay? So now what you want to do is you want to clip your edges. Just clip the edges at an angle. You do not cut your stitching. Do not cut your stitching on both edges. Just cut them, okay? And then at the top, you just want to clip it just a little bit on both edges. Okay, remember this part is still open. So let me show you. You only sewed three sides. Okay, so we clipped, and then so you see this is still open. This top part is still open. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this right side out. Flip it out the right way and push out your corners. And you can use your chopstick or whatever you have to push out your corners. And I left my corner pusher in the house, but I'm just gonna use the edge of this brush. So flip it right side out. And we have one last step to do, and we will be done. Okay. And it's gonna be a little stiff because of the interfacing, but that's okay. Just do it the best way you can. Get it out the best way you can. Smooth everything out. And then you're going to take this to the your ironing board, and just iron everything out flat, okay? Just iron everything out flat. Make sure all your seams have been pushed out. And so now all of this is enclosed. The bottom, I'll iron that out and it'll be smoother. And then the side, and then our ribbon is now on top, enclosed inside of that seam, okay? So iron this out, and then we'll come back for the very last step. All right, so I have ironed this out. I just ironed it down, okay? So my seam's looking pretty good. Pay attention to this part, okay? Because it's kind of tricky. Okay, so we have all of this ironed down, right? This is the opening. This is my opening of my fabric facing towards the sewing machine or facing away from you. The opening of the fabric is facing away from you, okay? This is my closed bottom edge, right? So this is my flap over piece that we sewed, okay? They have the 2 rows of stitching at the bottom. I want you to take this fabric and turn it upside down. Bring it to the top where the opening is. So now you should have the lining piece, the main fabric, and then your flap fabric, right sides facing, raw edges all at the top. And I want you to line this up from edge to edge and pin it, because we're going to sew across the top edge, and then we're going to top stitch it all the way around the bag. So I'm going to explain that one more time just in case somebody do not understand what I'm saying, okay? So this is your flap. This is your flap piece. This is your flap piece. This is the edge that we sewed with the double line stitching in the beginning, okay? This is my opening of my lining fabric, my main fabric, and now my flap facing right sides together. And I'm just pinning it down so that I can sew it down. If I could get a pen. Okay. So now you're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew a straight line all the way down, using the edge of your presser foot as a guide. And you're going to back stitch a couple of times. And then I'll come back once I sew this straight down. And so now I sewed a straight line all the way down. So now my raw edges are enclosed. And now what I want to do is I want to take my pinking shears and just clip close to the seam, to the line that I just sewn. Only at the top. Just pinking shear this all the way down. Don't cut your stitches. Okay, so after you do that, this is what that should look like, I'm sorry. And now we're just gonna sew another row close to the line that we've already sewn. Straight down. This is just going to ensure that your bag or it doesn't come apart, okay? And if you have a serger, you can serge this edge or you can zigzag this on the edge. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. This is my flap, my ribbon. I'm going to go ahead on and, no, I'm going to keep that in until I top stitch all the way around and then I'll take this out. So once you finish sewing that together, when you flap, your flap is going to come to this side. And what I want you to do is lay it down, and then that's where you sewed. Flap that down until it's even, because we're going to do a top stitch all the way around, but you want to make sure that this is even. So this is my seam, this is the crease, and I just want to make all of this come down to where I can see my crease. Do you see the line? That's what you want to do, and then just iron this down, and then we're going to do a top stitch, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to iron mine down and come back and show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to top stitch this. Okay, so I've ironed mine down. This is my flap going towards my lines, okay? This is the top going towards my lines. So this is what the inside of the bag looks like right now. This is what the inside should look like. So you're just going to take the top part and sew a row of top stitching all the way down, okay? Then you're going to open the flap. Once you do that all the way down, from this point, open your flap, and then you're going to top stitch all of this. And I will come back once I'm done. So our next step is iron this down so that it will flap over and stay down. And now we're going to take and sew a top stitch all the way across. And I will change my stitch length. I'm going to put my stitch length for my top stitch at 3.5. I'm still on a straight stitch, but I'm changing my stitch length to 3.5. Okay? And I'm just going to sew a row of stitching, top stitching, and then I'll be back. And I just forgot to tell you that you're still lining the top part of this with the edge of your presser foot. Nothing has changed, okay? Nothing has changed. Get to the edge, you're gonna back stitch. You really don't need to, but I'm back stitching. And then you're going to, so this is what it's going to look like once you top stitch. I don't even know if you can see it, but, and I have a loose thread, I can get that out. My thread got caught in the stitching. But this is, focus. See my top stitch? You can kind of see it in one of the buses. Okay, so now I'm just going to open my flap. And this is what the inside looks like now, okay? And then I'm just going to do a top stitch all the way around. And then we will be done. And I'll be back. Okay, so I've top stitched all the way around. This is my top stitch line. All of this at the bottom. Hopefully you can see. Okay, and then all the way around up until this section. So we have completed this bag, and so now you can undo your ribbon on the front, and it should be long. Okay, so if your ribbon is on this side, you're going to take this side and roll it up. But let me put a couple of my daughter's crochet hooks inside of the bag so we can see what they look like. Okay. Oh yeah, she also uses scissors, so that can go in there. And I'm sorry for the shaking of the camera. She have this hook, and I'm just gonna put the hooks facing down so we don't damage anything, because I don't want to pay for nothing. Y'all, this is going to be so cute. And hashtag Purple Patch Crew on YouTube. If you are in the Facebook group, you can post your pictures once you're done. If you have any questions, you can leave it below this video, or you can come to the Facebook group and ask whatever it is that you need, okay? Whatever help you need, I will be there for you, okay? She uses this razor, so I'm going to stick that inside of there. I think she said for shaving the yarn or something. Okay, so y'all, look. She has more, and I can put more. But everything you can see, okay? You can see it. And so now you just flap this down and roll it. And then you take your ribbon . Okay. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Are you going to accept the challenge? Hashtag Purple Patch Crew. Facebook group is Seams to Sew and Craft. And there is no deadline. You can do this for the month of March. I would prefer for you to do it for the month of March, by the end of the month of March. But if you don't get around to it, it's okay. The purpose of this Sew Something Simple challenge is just to get you to start sewing. So if this inspires you to start sewing something, then that's all it's about, okay? So here we have our traveling crochet hook bag, or this is the one that I did with the makeup brushes. This is the makeup brush. So you can put whatever it is, and this is how wide the makeup brush is, okay? You can put whatever it is you would like inside of your slots. But remember, this one was done long time ago, and I had no clue what to do. And I was following a video and somebody else's measurements, but their brushes are longer than mine. So that's why I say, make this the size that you need it to be, okay? Don't use the same measurements that I used if you're not using it for crochet hooks. Make sure you measure whatever it is you're going to put into your slots. And until next time, I just want to say, sew something simple. Unbiased LLC, and I'm out. Until next time. Okay, Kiara. Got something for you.
Ew. I like this fabric. Okay.
You like it?
Mm-hmm. I like the best. This just another pocket for scissors or something?
Or, yeah, whatever you need to put bigger in it.
That's all the needles I had?
No, they had some more.
Oh.
I didn't put them all in there.
Okay. I like it. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.